and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Daddy Perino. How you doing, man?
I'm doing much better, Ryan. I felt so horrible last week, both physically horrible and emotionally horrible, that I abandoned you. In front of, all of those regional events, and I just am so happy to be actually back. I'm feeling much better,
Yeah.
actually being able to put the effort in, do these recordings. It's makes me feel like a much better person.
Well, I'm happy to have you back. I have to say it's a lot weirder trying to do the show alone. Not like it's harder, but it's just like it's weird because it's like it's almost like you just kind of riffing off your own thoughts. And, sometimes, like, there's never, like, that challenge in your own thoughts. And so it's, or, like, that, kind of point within your thoughts of that someone else can bring. And so, like, that was the only weird thing about not having you. But other than that, I mean, it was good. I hope it was a decent show for the people who watched. But
yeah, you'll have to let us know on the in the comments or on social media or whatever. But, yeah, when I used to do the solo episodes on occasion back in season 1 of Around the Scene, the other thing that was nice is that when you're doing the show live, at least you have some people that are listening live. So you do get some level of feedback. Now, I'm not saying it's just you talking to an audience the entire time, because at that point, you may as well just become a streamer, not a podcast. But
yeah, exactly.
It did help to have that, to at least, as you said, get some level of reflection. So you're not just bouncing off of your own thoughts, which it's tough when you're doing it recording and there's no audience and you're just sitting there looking at the camera for an hour going, well, I think this team's going to win.
Yeah, I had to try and come into that episode a lot more prepared, which was kind of cool because I felt like I was very informed going into it than I normally am. And I tried to kind of bring some of that in today as well. But guys, for those of you who don't know, this is Around the Scene, brought to you by Playing with Rockets. This is your one-stop shop for all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow, thumbs up, subscription, do all those things on YouTube or your podcast service of choice. We would greatly appreciate it. But we have not necessarily, well, we have 8 items technically. We're going to do a recap over the recent regionals that just happened, and we're going to go into some predictions for the upcoming regionals that are happening this weekend, because the way that the new format is we do 4 of the 8 regions on one weekend, then we wait a week, go into the next one, and it seems like the way that they're doing it as well is as soon as Regional 1 for these 4 regions finishes, the following weekend is going to be Region 2 for North America and all of them again. So this is like we are running through Rocket League. Like it is Rocket League season through and through. So we are going to jump on into our first recap, which is going to be the Fall Asia Pacific South region, which I was super happy with, Perino, because I was completely accurate in who I predicted was going to take the whole thing. I predicted ALK would win the whole thing. I also predicted that One Esports would be one of the top 4. The only thing I was really sad about is Pineapple Cake and Shogun's bombed out super fast. And I did get really upset when I saw that, but I did hear them on the main broadcast say that Pineapple Cake was one that they had looked at to go really far as well. So I at least was on the same wavelength as those guys, so I thought they were going to do well. I didn't hear them if they said the same thing about Shoguns, but yeah, I had limited information, Perino.
Yeah, I think everyone had limited information coming into this, and I'll be the first to admit it's a lot of Rocket League. I have not watched all of it, okay? It's also baseball playoff season.
Yep.
I am from the New England area, and Ryan and I talked about this briefly when we were working an event together, because I didn't realize it, but the Red Sox and the Astros currently are locked up in the ALCS. The Astros are ahead.
Let's go.
3-2. And I'm not a huge baseball guy. Like I sort of like waffle between the teams. I live in Philadelphia currently. I like rooting for the Phillies. They're fun. I grew up in New England, so I do have like the Boston sports background. So I like to watch the Red Sox when they're good, and they're making an incredible run. Yep. Nobody thought the Red Sox would get this far. Everybody's been, counting them out. And I've been watching a bunch of those games, And then I realized last night when I was talking to Ryan, he's from Houston. And he's an Astros fan. I was like, no.
We've known each other for how long? And I think it's hilarious that like that just crossed your mind.
It's never had to come up. I've never even considered it because it's not normally a sports area that, all too concerned about. But now the Astros and the Red Sox are, in the thick of it, and I'm just like, wait a second, wait a second, man. So Ryan and I are enemies for at least another week. At the moment.
By the end of this weekend, we'll be friends again, or one of us will be a bitter friend.
Point being, I haven't been watching all of the regional events. I did catch NA, and we will talk a lot about that with what went down. But I will be the first to admit that my knowledge of the rest of the regions is not too strong, and it's going to be very difficult over the next however many weeks, however many months we do this show, to keep up with all of the regions. So I'm going to do my best. I'm making a commitment now to do better, but it's a lot of Rocket League, okay?
Yeah.
It's a lot of Rocket League.
It is.
And it's also at different times.
Yeah, it is a lot of Rocket League. So please forgive us if we're not able to, specifically watch each region. And I realize like all that looks super tiny, so I'm trying to fix it. But yeah, I mean, this was honestly a really cool region. I was really excited just to kind of check out what these other regions are like, because we just never really, heard too much about them. We never seen too much of them. So personally, I was super invested in it, and then also like doing the episode by myself. It allowed me to actually take the time and go look through these teams' stats specifically. And ALK, they had been doing really well before this became an RLCS region, so I just really expected that to continue. And you can see by the way that their best of set went, it was total domination by ALK. So I think that this is, and we used this earlier when you were talking before the show, but this is, I think this is how we're going to refer to some of these teams of like, ALK is going to be sort of the true neutral of APAC South. Like I think that's how it's going to be. Because you can see by the stats right there, they were crazy dominant, and they looked great. And I did get to see a little bit of them, and they definitely performed. That is for sure.
Yeah, always nice when you have some teams that really come into the spotlight. And this is the big thing with the developing regions, right, is where you're going to have teams that are really, really good in specific regions that just never had the chance to actually play, like in North America or EU or wherever, because they weren't close enough geographically to do it.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be too many, but you're probably going to get one or two like really, really solid teams coming out of these regions. And we're seeing it already. We had a couple of results this weekend. ALK is a great example of, a real strong powerhouse team that's probably going to come out of APAC South, provided everything goes to plan. We're very, very early on in this brand new format, brand new season of RLCS. But I think for the wild card regions coming into Worlds, we're actually going to get some really strong contenders.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and like that's the thing too, is like you have like thinking about as you see these two is like that's going to be a really cool team to see on land. We're going to see this team on land at least once, if not multiple times. So I'm super excited about that. And again, it's just cool. And it's just kind of neat, seeing how these other regions play. They play, this region particularly played at like 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning for me. So that did make it a little harder to try and follow any of it, but it was still neat all the same. And then also for those of you who don't know, Rocket League now has individual channels for the various regions. So there is Rocket League MENA for Middle East region. There's Rocket League APAC, and then there is Rocket League. What is it? I can't remember the last one, and my stuff just turned off for some reason.
OCE?
No, OCE and Sam are still going to be on the, or maybe, yeah, I think maybe they did get their own channel. Maybe that was it. Maybe they did get their own channel. That's the only one that
went on this weekend, right? We had NA, OCE.
Yeah, there was
a.
South, but let me check. I posted it on Twitter. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. Mina, APAC, OCE, and Sam. Okay, yeah. So OCE and Sam, they now have their own dedicated Rocket League specific channels. You don't have to look and try to figure out like when Rocket Street is, putting on the game or anything. So you can go follow those specific Rocket League channels, which is cool. I think it kind of puts us more towards the the League of Legends setup where it's like they have the various regions and stuff. I would love to see like specific logos for each region. I think that'd be a cool touch. But yeah, that concludes APAC South. Not a whole lot more to really discuss on it unless there's anything you want to add.
Other than the fact that I'm glad that they have, at least for the English broadcast, they've had some up-and-coming names for casters come in. I think that's really, really cool. The fact that we're getting, basically an international broadcast to cover this, people from all over the world actually coming through and covering it, looking at the broadcast talent, Boyoyo, Digital Bacon, Yumi Cheese, man, I fear it.
Bass from the past.
I never know if it's Bass or
His
Bass.
last name is Bass.
Bass from the past. Gotcha. Yes. But very, very cool to see that they're bringing in broadcast talent from the community and they're bringing it internationally.
Yeah, that was definitely neat.
Really
but yeah, APAC South, great showing from them. Excited to see APAC North coming up this week as well, and we'll talk about them soon. Middle East, not surprising at all. Sandrock Gaming come out on top for this one. Again, this is a team that everybody in the world knows from these other regions. And again, they dominate. They take down the Ultimates. This one I was really happy about because this one I also did a really solid job with my predictions. The only team I got wrong to make it to the top 4 was Sudor Esports. That was one that I had predicted to go to the top 4. They didn't make it. However, Sandrock, Falcons, and Ultimates, they all made it. And I did predict Sandrock would take it, but I don't think that was too shocking of a prediction for like anybody.
Yeah, this is another example where you have Sandrock and everyone else, right? Where I mean it is true, but the cool thing about this as well is I actually did catch a little bit of this, and the broadcast for this.
That was tough for me too, though, because I kind of listened to some of the cast radio style because I'll be like out working, and so that was the hard part is I couldn't really tune into it because I couldn't follow what was happening.
I love listening.
If I can watch, I'm down for
broadcasts.
It. If I can't watch, it kind of hurts my ability to be a part of it.
Yes, if you're doing audio only and you have no idea what they're saying and you can only go by the inflections of their voice, that's tough because even in Arabic, the inflections can be different too. So I understand that, but I thought it was really neat. I love that they're doing it in Arabic super cool. For the main channel for Middle East.
I would love for them to also offer like a side, like someone to offer a side one that is in English. Just so I can still tune into it. Again, if I'm able to watch, I'm totally down to watch on the main channel. I don't mind, listening to it in another or watching it in another language. I can't listen to it in another language, but I thought that was. I'm with you though. I think that was super awesome that they did it that way. I did notice though. I didn't see. Well, yeah, OCE is English, but I'm curious. I hope that Sam is in Spanish. I hope it is.
It almost certainly should be.
But that's the other thing, too, is APAC wasn't in a native language or anything. It was in English.
Right. My guess is probably because there's just simply no native broadcast talent yet. And with the APAC South area, I think, covers...
I mean, Middle East and Africa, those are pretty different regions.
Yeah, but Middle East, for most of the countries there speak Arabic. I think particularly for APAC South that you have a blend of a few different languages. And I'm assuming that there's just not a ton of natural broadcast talent.
Yeah, they only had 3 people total for the whole broadcast.
This level of involvement.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, only 3 people total. A host and 2 commentators. Yeah.
Right, which is a lot. So credit to those guys for doing that.
A lot of Rocket League.
That's a lot to cover. But yes, coming from experience, yes, those are long days. So yeah, Again, but regarding Middle East, North Africa, Sandrock, obviously, the team to look out for. And I think it's just going to be a battle for the number 2 spot, really, out of there, to kind of see who will be going along with them. For
and again, having more events like this consistently, you're gonna see these other teams start to elevate because they're gonna be clawing to try and get to Sandrock Gaming at some point, and we saw that happen with OCE as well. Was Drippe and his team, they just like crushed everybody, and eventually like the rest of the region kind of rose to the occasion. And I think you're going to see that happen with a lot of these regions of people stepping up to kind of meet them. But that is going to be the Middle East region. Sandrock Gaming, congrats on their win. And again, that'll all be happening again very, very soon. Moving over to OCE, though.
Yes.
This one, I was actually surprised at how accurate I was. All 4 of the top teams I called accurately. I called Renegades, Direwolves, Ground Zero, and Riot to be the top 4. I predicted a Renegades Ground Zero grand final, but I did predict to go the other way. So that was the only difference. That was the only part I got wrong, but other than that, I was really accurate on this one, surprisingly.
Yeah, Ryan becoming a beast on the predictions there, and yeah, I think a Renegades Ground Zero is fairly straightforward final pick, but Renegades coming through.
My gosh, I even noticed that. Series 1, a 10-0 scoreline and a 7-0 scoreline. What the Oh my god. I did not see that.
Yeah, 10 goals in a professional game is a bit much, but
especially those two. That's not what I would expect between those two teams.
Yeah, that one I think was a bit of an anomaly, but Ground Zero really, they only had the one set though. They took the second set to 7 games, and they just eked it out on Champions Field there in Game 7, and then otherwise it was all Renegades all the way. So that should be it. Again, another region where I think it's going to be those two. It's going to be the Renegades and GZ. But I think that one's going to be much more coin flip. That one's probably going to, twist and turn throughout the. Well,
they were extremely close because Wikipedia has like the head-to-head feature if you go to a team specifically, and I did the head-to-head between them, and Ground Zero just like barely eked out Renegades, and that was part of why I went that way for the prediction. But after seeing that, I think I will need to rethink who I call as the victor next time. But OCE, always a cool region. Definitely awesome to see them just continuing to elevate, have some great series. I mean, we saw right there Ground Zero and Riot. That went all the way to 7. That's a really good series right there. So just really awesome to see. Again, just awesome to see all the regions continue to grow and develop.
Yes, but Ryan, I think now it's time to bring it home. This is our bread and butter region.
Yeah.
The region full of drama.
Oh boy, was there drama. So for those of you who don't know, North America had a bit of a tiff happen between First Killer and really FaZe and NRG. I think the only two who really didn't participate in it were Justin and Aleutian. I didn't see anything from either of them, but other than that, it was pretty much FaZe and NRG just getting after each other on Twitter. And it was all because of a controller DC and a goal being counted. It was... That was interesting, Perino.
Well, Do you want to recap the regional first and then go into that, or do you want to do that and work backwards? How do we want to go
Let's recap
about
the regional
this?
really quickly. That way we can touch on that, and then we'll go into our predictions for the other regions. That way we have plenty more time for them, because I would like to dedicate a lot of time to those guys. But for this regional, pretty much, I think I think I only called Energy and Space Station for this, and I think I called an Energy final against Team Envy, but Team Envy dropped early against FaZe. FaZe, though, the impressive thing about these guys is they took down Energy, Team Envy, and Space Station. They managed to take down the big three for North America, so I think that, with that, we can safely... I think we're at the point where we're going to be able to establish these guys as being top 4, not top 3 anymore.
Yeah, no question about it. Definitely a statement tournament for FaZe Clan coming in with first killer. Huge signing over the offseason. Immediate, strong result. I was a little bit disappointed.
Oh, yeah, that was a
FaZe
great
to the
game,
absolute
though.
limit.
That was a fantastic series. Like, FaZe had to work for that victory.
Yeah, it went all the way to 7 games, and the shot that ended
it was a bonker shot. Like, if that's... And I'm with T-Bates whenever he said, he was like, if that's what it takes to beat Envy, FaZe earned it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's no hard feelings because FaZe played really, really well. But, bit of a homer. Would like to see Envy to do a little bit better, and I'm sure they'll be back. But North America is going to be a bloodbath. As you said, you have a pretty established top 4. Another team, I think, that came out really did well.
Yeah.
Version 1, making top 4 in the first regional event, I think is a really, really good sign for them. I think they got a favorable matchup in their quarterfinal against XSET. Against other teams, I wouldn't necessarily pick them to go through. They did lose to NRG in the semifinal. However, you still have to win your games to get to that point. They did take down Rogue and Torrent along with a couple of others, going through the group stage. So they definitely played well, and they're going to be happy taking the points there with the semifinal finish. So V1, on the up and up, doing well. Another one that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
Shopify.
they didn't. It was a really bad day for Shopify. That was extremely unexpected for them. Definitely not what you want to see for those guys. But I have a feeling that they'll definitely be back in the next one. I put them above Ghost and the rest of these teams any day of the week. I think it was just a really poor showing from them. So I'm hoping to see them kind of have a return in Regional 2. But the other team I did really want to point out as just a stellar performance, True Neutral. They took down Ghost, G2, and Sonics to make their debut in the top 8. And yeah, they got 4-0'd by Space Station, but to make top 8 in their first regional, I think that it goes to show that these guys made a really ballsy call in deciding to come to North America, and they're living up to it. They put their money where their mouth was, and they are definitely holding their own, it feels like. And I think, again, they're still fresh to the North American scene, so you're only going to see these guys get better because now they're playing at such a high level. They're playing at an even higher level than what they already did. And, really, really excited to see their development as we go through this split and the whole season.
No question about it. The other way to phrase it, just to put that in comparison, is they only lost to NRG, Envy, and
part of the top. Yeah, part of the top echelon of it.
Yeah. So if you want to say that they beat everyone other than the top 3, in terms of who they had to play against,
it is
that's
outright
kind of crazy.
insane. And super happy for those guys. I was really hoping they would make it, and I'm just happy to see how well they performed. When I saw they beat G2, I was like, oh my god. And I think they 3-1 G2, so it was like a pretty solid win for them as well. And, that's just not what you expect. Again, it was a 2-0, 5-3, 1-2, and 3-1. Like, True Neutral did work.
They're really, really good. And I think they're showing why so many people had so much hype for them coming into the season. And this is a team that we're all looking forward to seeing compete. And, they came to play this weekend. So, again, first impressions really strong. For
now on to the juicy tidbit of this grand series or grand final. I followed a bit of it. It seems like you probably followed a bit more than I did because you're much more on Twitter than I am.
Well, because it's easier for me to look at Twitter than it is to actually watch the games, Ryan. That's the secret. So, more or less, what happened was that there was a technical pause at some
It was
point.
like right at the
forget which set it was,
very
I think it was
beginning of it all, pretty much. It was like it was in the first series.
It was earlier on, but basically there was an issue where NRG called for a pause because they argued that Justin had a disconnect as Aleutian was scoring a goal. Now, somebody made a video somewhere, and like there's a whole thing that goes about it. What happened was that during this technical pause, while admins were reviewing it, I guess things got pretty heated between FaZe and NRG, which is not really something that you would expect.
Well, I think it's more first killer than anything.
But
I have gotten the impression that there are a lot of pros that do not like first killer.
And first killer's so young too. There's probably just a bit of a maturity gap. But point being, things got said between one team and another during in this lobby, when this technical pause was going on. And then what made it all so interesting was that it got pushed onto Twitter. So I think it was
it was Garrett who posted it.
Yeah, I think it was Garrett actually, which this was the part that surprised me. Was the one that posted it and basically showed, first killer, just kind of being an ass, being antagonistic, and there was this whole back and forth. I'm not going to go too into the specifics of it, but you had basically Garrett and Squishy ragging on first killer and AJ. Like, in the middle of the craziest part is
all
Twitter,
this was in the middle of the series. Like, between games, like, they'd hop on Twitter and dish out insults back to each other.
Oh, and it got pretty messy. By Rocket League standards, this is one of the heavier hitting ones that you'll see, especially out of this level of pros. Sometimes in the bubble scene we see
some tips,
across the line,
not
but
like this.
Never at this level. Yeah, this was pretty intense. And ultimately, FaZe Clan ended up winning the double best of 7. So they took the first one and the third one. And I guess, Squishy and First Killer sort of apologized to one another and cleared the air a bit. But absolutely, I think we saw the beginning of a rivalry here. This is an electric start for NA, an upstart FaZe Clan, with a brand new signing. And, they talk about embracing the role of being the villain. Well, there you go.
I do have to say my favorite part that came from all of this was Reddle's star. Did you see any of that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
I just love it. Was one of those things that
again
it just reaffirmed how much I love Reddles as a character in the scene. He's just so funny. Like, he thrives off of this kind of BS. For those of you who don't know, Reddles, he during all this, he decided that he wanted to, join in on it as like sort of the reporter for it and take a Keemstar type role in showcasing the drama to people so they could just go to his page and follow what was happening. And so he changed his username in the middle of all of it from Reddles to Reddlestar. And that was the funniest piece to all of it. And again, like, it just reaffirmed that, as much you may see some tips and stuff like this, but I think it also reaffirms that, like, there are some people in the scene that are just damn funny. Like, Turbo and Reddles they can dish out some trash talk and stuff, but they're also just really freaking funny.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of fun when everyone gets in on it. Not the most professional look. It would be, the old boomer critique of me.
Oh, I mean, same. But again, it just goes to show that, like, esports is young.
It's very, very young, especially in the Rocket League community. So, I think we saw perhaps a little bit of that immaturity on display. We say like players who are old, like
Yeah.
Squishy's only what, like 19, maybe?
Yeah,
If that?
they're not
I don't
that
even
old.
remember. Like, listen, I know we may have a younger audience
Yeah.
too. 19's not that old. Like,
For
still
reference, people,
long
I'm
way to
28
go
and
in
have a
life,
child, so yeah, that's young to me.
Yeah, I'm 25. I may be daddy
Soon.
Perino, but I'm not a father. But nah, no,
Oh man.
no thanks. I'm good on that for now. But yeah, it can come over the top
Yeah.
sometimes, but makes it interesting, and it's gonna make it must watch for next week. Or I say
Not this coming
right?
weekend, but the following.
Not this
weekend.
upcoming
Yeah, it
weekend,
comes
but the
right back.
weekend after.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
lot
Ooh.
of Rocket League, man.
Too many games.
Like, yeah, you'd have to pay me a lot to be one of the casters for it just because of how much time these guys are investing now. Like, these guys are investing literally, like, so... I can't... It's crazy how much time these guys have to put in because some of them are casters for, the RLCS. Then they're also casters for Collegiate Rocket League as well. So it's like, these guys are busy.
Yeah, it's a tough life because the other thing too is if you're working in different regions,
Yeah.
you're doing a lot of these in the middle of the night for the most
So-
part. So that
It
also can take
but
a
that
toll.
is going to conclude our recap for this past weekend. Now we're going to move on to the upcoming weekend, which is going to be the regionals for Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia Pacific North, South America, and Europe. That is going to be fantastic to watch that one again. I like that they split NA and Europe to separate times like this, and they split SAM and OCE as well to kind of help provide a more equal style of coverage. I've really liked that. But moving on to Sub-Saharan Africa, as you guys can kind of see right there on your screen, literally none of these teams have pages. You cannot find anything. So our best bet is to go off of the closed qualifier. But again, the closed qualifier is not that much, as you can see. So we'd have to really go dive into the Smash page, which none of us have had a chance to, unfortunately. But even then, it still only gets you up to this point, which doesn't really provide a whole lot of ideas on where things are going. So you and me are just going to have a little bit of fun with this one, Perino. We're going to each pick two teams, and that is going to be around the scenes prediction for the top four. And we'll, among those four, we'll call who we think is going to win it all. We could be really close, or we could be way off base. It'll be interesting just to see, because after this will be the only time that we do this, just because next time we'll actually have some concrete results that we can look at for all these teams. So, Perino, I will let you, kind of take first stab at it, and kind of make your prediction on who you would like to pick. I may need to increase the size.
Wow, so many choices with a bunch of teams and a bunch of players that I have literally no idea in a region that is brand spanking new. So many choices, so little time. I'm gonna go with the ex-girlfriend way of picking. I'm gonna go based on which logo I think is the coolest. So I'm definitely gonna take ATK here. Just by going by the fact that, first of all, in their close qualifier, they did win 3-0 over Aufbau, who I definitely know a ton about. They won 2-1, 2-0, 6-2. Pretty strong there. They have a cool-looking logo. ATK, that roster consisting... Oh, they're not going to have a page, are they?
Literally
Nope. That roster
not a
consisting
single
of
team
3
on
young
here
players
has a
who are
page.
looking to make a mark on RLCS. Right. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go with ATK. Because they also have a team broadcast, too, which is fun. So, I'm going to have to go check them out later.
All right, there. Okay.
But yeah, that's my first
So
pick.
ATK is going to be your pick. Yeah, I kind of you almost have to kind of go off of who you think has like that professional logo, because you think like, oh, they might be sponsored possibly. You
That
would
doesn't necessarily
hope
mean
that
they're
if
the
they're
best team, though.
sponsored in this region, it means something. But yeah, you have no clue. I am gonna go for probably another cool looking logo. Actually, no, I'm going to go for my favorite one of all these, Orgless. I love theirs. How it just says Org logo here. And I mean, yeah, these players don't even have pages and stuff. It's just crazy to me. Yeah, I'm like going through all these.
Well, someone's gonna have to go through and back.
Eventually, it
stuff,
will.
You know, that's a job. That's a job for a Wikipedia editor who is not me. But yeah, so we're gonna go ATK. We'll go Orgless. I'll take the number 3 spot.
Oh no.
Ooh, who do I want to go with? You know, I'm going to go with the X Pandas. I think that's a cool name. They did come through the open qualifier. We'll see how well they do. I want to pick a team that's not in the top 8, you know, because reasons. So, X Pandas. That'll be my pick.
I can dig that. I know I'm far from my mic, but it's because I'm trying to like make sure I got this all sorted out. So X Pandas is who you're going for. The other one, last one I'm gonna go for, and this is purely based. This is like my one like attempting to pick a correct team deal. Is I'm gonna go for the Orlando Pirates. One, because this is sub-Saharan Africa, and they have Orlando Pirates as their representative, it looks like. But not to mention, this is the only team where all 3 players have a page. The other ones, not all 3 players. Like, it's like one player or none of them have a page. And so, off of that, I'm going to assume that Orlando Pirates are a good team, so I'm going to pick them as well.
Okay. Cool. I like that.
Thank you. So
job,
that
Ryan.
means that our picks are Orgless, X Pandas, ATK, and Orlando Pirates. Among all those, Perino, who are you pick? So these are who we here at the Around the Scene predict are going to be the top 4. Who do we think is going to win it? ATK.
I'll go with ATK. I'll stick.
You
with
know,
it.
I just because I want to
Yeah.
see if my sleuthing is correct, you know, if I can trust Wikipedia's like stat keeping skills on this, I'm gonna go for Orlando Pirates just because I'm curious if if that's actually accurate or not. So I'm gonna go for them. But yeah, there is my prediction and Perino's prediction on who we think is gonna come out on top for Sub-Saharan Africa. Again, we don't actually have any information on this, so this was just kind of a fun way to do it. But next time we come around to this, there will be solid information for us to go off of, so we hope to be able to utilize that and make a more informed decision for this region. But there you have it. Moving on to Asia Pacific North. This one, I already told Perino who I thought was going to take it, but I would like to... I don't know if you've had a chance to look through these teams, because these ones have more information on them.
I have not. I will be
So,
first to admit.
so
I don't really know much
I
about
went
the
through
new
and
regions.
looked at some of these, and I'm going to go ahead and just dish out my predictions for top 4 based off of what I've got. I want to ask you, though, make a pick on who, because I already told you one, but make a pick on someone else here that you think is going to be top 4. And I'll tell you if I have them in my list or
is
not.
going to be top 4. You know, for the memes, I'll go Hilltop Picnic, only because I know that this is the team that Doomsy is playing on. And I'm glad that he is back, you know, playing at a high level in his region of choice. So I'll go with that just for the name.
So I
brand of
haven't had a
Doomsy
chance to
alone.
actually see if, or I tried to look and I didn't see any results because his 2 teammates don't have pages. So I had to look at Doomsy, and he didn't have any real information that I recall for events in this region. Let me see. Did he? Yeah, no, he doesn't have like
I
any
don't
results
believe so.
for this region
Most of the stuff.
specifically. Yeah, he's got like 3 results, and all of them are like from way back. So he doesn't have really any results. So I did not pick their team, but that was a good guess, I would say, just because Doomsy is, kind of, he's been around for a long time. I think that they stand a chance because they have Doomsy, and I feel like he wouldn't pair with people who he didn't think could, help get them far. But based off of results, here's my predictions. I predict that 3rd and 4th place are going to be shared by Detonator and the Schaefers is what I'm going to call them. It's Xayfhers, so I'm going to call them the Schaefers. I think that based off their results that I saw, these guys classify for that 3rd, 4th position. They have a lot of 3rd, 4th, 5th to 8th type finishes throughout all the events that they participate in. So that is why I'm kind of giving them that. The team that I think is going to get 2nd place is going to be Nimitz or Nimit 55. These guys have a lot of 2nd and 3rd to 4th place finishes, but not a whole lot of 1st place finishes. The one team who has a whole bunch of 1st place finishes, and if you don't know who to look at here, you wouldn't realize it, but it's going to be Tokyo Verde Esports. They have the most notable team with Realize, Maru, and Tenhao. These are the guys who represented Japan for the Intel World Open. They've also just been amazing in all the events they participated in. Like here's Realize, for example. Look at all these 1st place and finishes and stuff for him. Like, and all these are within this region. So these are all ones where it's like within this region he played, performed to that level, and he has been with these 2 teammates forever. And so with that, I think that these guys, Tokyo Verde, I think they are going to be sort of the Renegades, Sandrock Gaming, True Neutral of this region. And I'll be surprised if it goes any other way, but I really believe they're just going to kind of steamroll this first one at least.
Yeah, and this was one of the teams that when we talked about, the first introduction of all of these new regions, Realize in particular getting a chance to really show what he's capable of on a world stage. I do think that his team is better than the rest of his region. I agree with your assessment that this is probably going to be some kind of, Sandrock or, True Neutral kind of regional level of dominance. And they are absolutely going to be the team to watch in this tournament. I'm looking forward to it.
And so with that concludes our predictions for Asia Pacific North. Moving on to our next one, we have South America. Woo! Okay, Perino, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not have an opportunity to look through this one and really make some solid predictions just because this one requires a lot more research, I think, to kind of make that informed prediction. You've watched some, Sam, right? I think you probably watched more than I have.
I watch a little bit of Sam. Not a ton, and definitely not as much as other people, so I'm not going to go too far out on a limb here. I will say that generally speaking, Furia is the team to watch, with the absence of True Neutral. Kaio Card, Yannick's, definitely, the squad, I think, to look at in South America, a group of young Brazilians, represented by a Brazilian org. They dominated throughout all of Season 10, and I definitely think they should be the favorite going into this event. But I think that recently, with some of the South American teams, there's been a pretty steady level of improvement overall. I think we may see, some kind of surprises come through, but Furia, I think, maybe not to the level they did last season or even the season prior, but I think Furia should be pretty much a step ahead of everyone, and you're going to kind of see like a wrestling pack shake out.
Who because we have, with this region, there was an invitational qualifier, so we do get to see that, Era, Eternity, and Furia were the top 2 coming out of this Swiss bracket. Then we have Noble, Elevate, 3 Sins, Vegas, Inferno, Vipers, Timeless. Novus Avi is one that surprised me. Tander, PJ, Luke, to not see them come out from the invitational qualifier, definitely a surprise there. But you do get some idea as to, how this is kind of going to shake out. since we do have the benefit of an invitational qualifier and the closed qualifier. And Era Eternity was another one that I was kind of looking at, feeling like, this is one that could stand out to do well. Again, Math is that one player that a lot of people know. So, let's go ahead and just make our assessment here. I think we're both in agreement that Furia is probably going to be a top 4, right? And then based off of those invitational standings, I kind of am, wanting to lean towards Era as being the other, to join them. Because their wins were over Locust, Novus AV, and Nyoxi. Whereas all these others kind of lost against some teams that you probably wouldn't expect them to lose against.
Yeah, they kind of had a rough go of it. Again, I think this is more of a trend in South America where you're going to have Furia who's a bit ahead, and then the rest of it it's kind of a mess, to tell you the truth. A team that I like to look out for, this is one that I recommend watching, is 3 Sins. This is Batix, Brad, and Electro. I think these 3 guys can really play, just a little inconsistent. You look through their results, and they've had some good events, but they always seem to fall a little bit short. I wonder if they can do it here, in the regional, but I do like the way that they play. They're fun to watch.
The other team that I'm going to go ahead and say here as well is going to be Vegas Inferno. Just because they have Habercamper and Renan on this team, and with them officially saying that lands are back, them being former players who have gone to Worlds and stuff, I think that is a huge motivator for them. I think that they probably want it even more now because of that, but also just because this is a good team. I'm not gonna try and say oh, now they're motivated and they weren't before, but it's that is a thing though that you have to remember is not a whole lot of these guys have been to LAN, so they don't really know what it was like. But if you've been there for this region, I think it's gonna mean a heck of a lot more to you.
Oh, no question about it. Huge motivating factor to get back to that point, and have the chance to really go through the regional the majors. Throughout this entire split should be pretty strong level of motivation along with the prize pool and stuff as well. So, Vegas Inferno definitely a team to look out for as well. I think it's a pretty solid
among those top 4,
right?
Vegas Inferno, 3 Sins, Furia, and Era Eternity. Who would you call as our prediction for number 1? Yeah.
I mean, it has to be Furia, right? Just based on the results, based on the level of prestige, I think Furia do come out and put out a show for us in the first week of South America's competition.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I would have had a hard time going for anybody else. I think others could maybe give them a run for their money, but I think without True Neutral, there's a bit of a vacuum at the top, and I'm just curious who else is going to be able to step up and join Furia in that kind of area for South America. But I'm going to go Furia as well. So there you have it. Here at Around the Scene, we predict Era Eternity, Furia Esports, 3 Cents, and Vegas Inferno are going to be the top 4, with Furia Esports coming out on top, being the kings of South America once more. Anything else you want to add on that?
Pretty strong. I think we're good there.
Yes,
I'm really looking
we're
forward
going to pop on over to this one, and this is super exciting. I'm going to, throw a curveball here, Perino. We're going to kind of skip ahead for a moment and come back to this. We're going to go into the roster shuffle. So for those of you who don't know, Europe and Rocket League as a whole had some really great news earlier this week. We had 2 brand new organizations joining in, particularly in Europe. And Perino, who might those organizations be?
Well, we certainly did not come with some no-name news, Ryan. The 2 organizations stepping into the fray this week, just prior to the launch of the first week of Europe, we had none other than Natus Vincere.
Big boys.
Pick up Fadeaway. Yep, so that's Tigre, Luis, and...
Tigre, Dead Monster, and Luis.
Dead Monster, yes, thank you. So huge pickup. Not as sincere again for those who don't know. Huge organization, traditionally out of the CIS area. They're very much known for their Counter-Strike squad. They have the best Counter-Strike player to ever play the game, and Simple on their team, and they have Boomich and a few others. Their Counter-Strike team, one of the best in the world. That's primarily
they
what they're known
for. They also are in Dota as well.
Super excited there in Rocket
League.
League
Team there, so
yes. So if you're, if you follow other esports, you should know Not as Sincere. I'm really looking forward to having them in. That is, again, a true Tier 1 organization, right? That's when we talk about true Tier 1 orgs in the scene, Not as Sincere immediately qualifies. That's
for
a Tier 1.
Sure.
And our second one, on top of that, because that's so much hype on its own. But our second one that just came out today was Misfits.
Yep.
Believe it or not. So this is
so Fade Away
Cash.
And Monkeys, they'll be changed here soon. So this is going to go from saying Fade Away to Not as Sincere, and Monkeys is going to go to saying Misfits.
Which is crazy.
Oh, they actually got changed finally.
Again.
Live changes.
You just hit the refresh. Well, that's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, Misfits Gaming, another one where it's a huge org coming in, a lot of money, a lot of prestige coming behind that group. Just crazy that we get these two basically straight out of the bat. Again, for Misfits, you probably know them from the LEC team for League of Legends. They also have teams in Call of Duty and Overwatch. They own the Florida Mutineers, and
I gotta say though, it is crazy as you're looking here at Europe. They're getting pretty packed with some really high level organizations. I mean, you have Dignitas, Williams Resolve, Navi, SK Gaming, Misfits Gaming, Vodafone Giants, Evil Geniuses, Team Vitality. I mean, these are like some big organizations coming in for Europe. And then there's also Team Liquid, who I'm shocked they haven't gone after the Flying Dutchman. I'm surprised they haven't just dropped everybody and been like, let's go with these guys, or OO Nation. But, I mean, it's crazy.
It appears that, for whatever reason, at the start of this new season, any Tier 1 org out there that hasn't had a team has basically been just like, who can we get, like right now? Because I would say, and this is not to be disrespectful in any way whatsoever, but I would say that the level of prestige for some of these orgs with the rosters that they have does not quite level out. There are a few, and I don't really want to go into it because, again, it's marginally disrespectful, but there are some orgs that have teams currently that
that's who you chose.
Really, that's
with all the prestige and money that your organization has. That's who you went for.
And it goes back to that earlier, thing of like Evil Geniuses, where they talk about, we're a championship level organization. We only want championship level competing teams. Like, listen, there are 16 really good teams in EU right here, and they're all orged up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it feels like there was just a bidding war. Like, whoever's left, whoever's open, like, let's get them on there. And I don't know if it's because of the esports shop. I don't know if it's just because of the open circuit. I don't know what it is, but this is
super
truly
inspiring
awesome.
And awesome to see for Rocket League as a whole. But Perino, you and me don't get paid to talk about the organizations necessarily, nor do we get paid at all for this. So that is going to conclude the roster shuffle. So now we need to move on to the important work of predicting who our top 4 is going to be. Perino, I talked about it last week whenever I was doing the show. But pickstop.gg is a phenomenal piece that we should be taking a look at. You should really, if you guys ever get the chance, go check it out, pickstop.gg. You can make your predictions for Europe right now before they kick off tomorrow. So go get your predictions in for that. And And I posted these in the Pick Stop Discord, Perino, and I will say the other European caster that I know in there, he frowned upon my predictions because I did not really know what I was doing. So the two new orgs, I actually called them going 0-3 because I don't know.
Well,
I had called them going 0-3 because here we'll run through this right now. I'll redo my predictions actually, so we can just kind of do it all. So we'll make this the around the scene prediction instead of my prediction. So
that's fair.
Okay, right now we need to pick our top 8 for Europe. So who do you think that is?
Can I take the obvious one first?
BDS.
Top left corner, BDS.
Team BDS and Vitality. Let's just get that out of the way.
No point needed on that.
So now let's go for the first true pick.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow. So many good teams in here. I will go. I think this one's worth putting in early.
Okay.
Carmine Corps.
For those of you who don't know, that has Itachi, Stake, and
again,
Astral.
Going off the back of their off-season results, I think they looked really strong. Europe is notoriously very crazy on results in terms of swings and form. I think that Astral, when he's playing really well, is one of the best in the world. I think they'll show up at least to get top 8.
Moving on to my pick. I'm gonna try and kind of stick with the picks that I had. I'm not gonna try and act like I'm changing who I thought necessarily. So I'm basically just giving up some of my picks to you. Is kind of what it is. But I predict Flying Dutchman because this is the team that Verge and Violent Panda ended up on after they left Dignitas. And this is kind of like a hope pick. I really want to believe that, that was the right move for them and that they're going to go on and find a lot more success with this new roster and that, these guys are hopefully happier with their decision to leave Dignitas and join Tho and Oily, who are both great players. Not to mention they're all from the same region now, too. So it's like there's also that kind of countryman aspect that we've seen a lot of European teams kind of develop where they just get everybody from the same country and make a team out of that. And so I think, again, this kind of falls in line with that style that we've kind of seen from some of the European teams. So Flying Dutchman, that's one of my picks.
Okay, I like it. Going through, we have half of our picks here. Kind of hard to say, but I actually like Dignitas. This is Scrub, apparently Jack and Jory's.
I think it's a good pick.
Again, it's a team that's inconsistent, but I think top 8 is reasonable for them.
I feel like top 8 is doable for them.
Yeah, and if Scrub Killa pops off, he can elevate any team to become one of the best in the world. I have a lot of faith in him still. And then Jack and Jory's have shown they can be still very dynamic in their own right. Dignitas overall really strong roster. I think top 8
I'd have to agree with you completely on that one. Another team that I thought would do well is Semper Esports. This team consists of Archie, Chaussette, and Cassio. I mean, that's just a good roster right there. Chaussette has been phenomenal throughout everything we've seen with him. Archie and Cassio are both great players in their own right as well. And, I mean, they have done so well. They've been able to get an organization to back them. Or they had, some financial group back them. Not even an organization for esports. Some financial group back them and then just decided to give them that name. So I think that Semper Esports are pretty solid pick in my opinion, but again, this is Europe and anything can happen. So
Basically, more. Yes. The truth is, I think you can actually make an argument for pretty much anyone just based historically on how this region has gone. However, I will go with Guild here. This is Bluey, Devo, and Noli. Again, I think this is maybe a bit of a safe one, but a lot of experience in that team. Being coached by Gregan, who I think is excellent, and backed by a really strong org. I have faith that they have put in the work this offseason to get to the point where they want to be. It's not going to be easy in this region. As you can tell, there are some loaded rosters in here, and there are a lot of good teams that won't make it. But I like it.
I have to agree with you on that.
I like to go with
the last team that I am going to go with, and again, I'm trying to kind of stick with stuff that I had said before. I don't want to really change my picks too much, just because I got informed by another caster on if my picks were good or bad. But I want to go for Vodafone Giants. This was one that I had chosen before. It's VK Salen, Dementia, and Atomic. I believe they were the old Team Queso roster. And they did extremely well last season for the Europe region. So for me, it's really hard to kind of go against that pick. So that's why I'm going for them.
So that brings the total top 8 to BDS, Vitality, Semper, Dignitas, Carmine Corp. I have to get a
I keep saying
pronunciation
Carmine
check on
Corp.
that.
That's what I say.
have no idea if I'm actually saying it right.
We'll watch the broadcast and see what they say.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I like that. Or somebody can flame me in the comments for being an ignorant American, please. Vodafone, Flying Dutchman, Guild. Yeah, interesting that the two new orgs we both think aren't going to make it out of this. Traditionally, we've always seen, new org boost come through, but Europe is just so tough.
It's always tough to pick Europe and, really feel confident with your decisions on who you choose. But moving on to the next step and pick stops process, you have to pick the two teams you think are going to be undefeated in the Swiss bracket. I think we probably would both agree on who they are, but I'll let you go ahead and make your calls.
Yeah, and spell it out because it's BDS and Vitality. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? Just the two best teams in the region historically. And the start of a brand new season, no reason to not go with them. I don't think anyone's demonstrated. I'm sure that we could get surprised. It wouldn't shock me if Vitality drops a game or drops a series, but
yeah, it really is.
It's just so hard.
And the final piece here is pick who we think is going to not win a single series in the Swiss bracket. These are the teams that are going to go 0-3. So you're picking who you think is worst, which I think it's a lot harder to pick who you think is the absolute worst than it is to pick who you think the best is.
Yeah, well, just because in EU, I don't really think there is an actual bottom two. I don't think it's very obvious. I'll say Queso, just because I don't know too much about their new roster. That's Rise, Vitir, and Joy.
I can agree with that.
I just don't know that much about them. Yeah. Obviously, they're good because they got in here, but I just don't know that much about them.
I think that's pretty fair. If you don't really know the team, it's kind of hard to really go and choose them. And then this is, I'm going to pick Evil Geniuses partially because I want to see them lose. not the players, but the org.
Why is that?
Because I wanted to show how stupid it was that they left when they had a decent team a while back. I think that's the stupidest move that this organization made, was leaving when they were in it so early, because they could have a top team right now. They could have been upgraded to a better team if they had just stuck it out, and they chose not to. And they just chose not to even sell that team and buy a different team. They just gave up on Rocket League as a whole. So for me, it's I kind of just want to see them lose, just to be you thought that it would be easier to come back, but it's almost harder now. So that's why I go for that.
if you don't shell out
Exactly.
the cash and just straight up buy a really good team.
So
Yeah.
that is how you submit your picks on Pickstop. That is for the group stage, though. You will be able to pick your playoffs at the conclusion of the group stage. They'll open it up so you can start doing your playoffs picks as well. If you go to their Discord, you can get notifications every time they open up those new sets of picks for you. And then you get to, just kind of see how you do against everybody else. I believe for this last one, there were 406 submissions. So you get to compare. I think I ended up in the top 24% of all picks. So not my best predictions that I've ever done, but still good overall. So it's a lot of fun. Be sure to head on over there. But Perino, I would like to go ahead and just jump the gun a bit because we are running over time. Who do you think's going to take it all? We're not even going top 4. Who do you think's taking it all?
BDS.
Because why not?
Reasons. I mean,
yeah.
Because they won everything last season, and until I see something otherwise, I'm not comfortable going
100%
anywhere
agree with
else.
you.
How about
I'm
that?
going to go Team BDS as well. And so those are our picks here for Around the Scene. Perino, we did a lot of work in today's episode. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go into our closeout?
Very happy to be back. There's so much Rocket League going on. So many opportunities to get involved all over the world. I am making a commitment here on the broadcast right now that I'm going to be trying to watch more regions so I can be more informed across the board. Historically, I've always been obviously really up to par with NA, mostly up to par with EU, but then it's very dropped, off the radar for me from there. This is my personal statement, my personal attestation that I'm making the effort to watch different regions to have a deeper understanding of the pro scene around the world. That's where we're at. So
I'm glad you
looking
made
forward to
that
doing
because
that.
I
Gotta do
kind
my
of did
homework.
that last week when I was by myself of just really trying to dig deep and us learn more so we can be more informed as we make these decisions on who we are trying to inform you guys as being the best for a region or potential upsets or who you should be focusing on because we'd like the goal of this to really make you guys be more informed viewers of the esport. If you're trying to watch, nothing about what to expect, we hope that you can watch this and go in and be like, oh, they said this is a team that I should be looking out for, and we hope that that's accurate. But it's going to take studying and work on our part that we're both trying to commit to doing more of. So with that, guys, that has been this week's episode of Around the Scene. It has been episode 13. I can't believe we've done so many episodes for season 2 so far, but it's been a lot of fun. And that's going to do it for us. I'm Ryan. That's Perino. You can follow me at PWR_Ryan. You can follow him at Perino TV. You can follow us at PWR_Leagues. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we will see you next week here on Around the Scene. Peace out.